Sessions says he thinks Senator Rubio's heart is in the right place, but that the Gang of Eight's plan is off base.
They have produced the legislation, it appears, although it looks like now it may be another week before we see it, that will give amnesty now, legalize everyone that's here effectively today, and then there's a promise of enforcement in the future.
Border security is a key part of the Gang of Eight's plan, and Democratic Senator Dick Durbin explained that stopping 90% of illegal border crossings is both a goal and a trigger for other parts of future law.
Every Republican at the table said, we've got to start with border security, get that right, and we'll stick around for the rest of the conversation. I think we've kept faith on that issue.
And we got a sense of the kind of reception non-Gang of Eight senators will give the bill today when Republican Senator John Cornyn said that he's looking forward to reading it, but he would not commit to supporting it just yet. Doug?
Peter Ducey, thank you. And joining us now for a fair and balanced debate on the impact of this immigration bill, former DCCC spokesperson Doug Thornell and former Senate Republican Conference Chief of Staff Ron Bonjean. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Doug, thank you.
Good to see you. Any major impediments to this Gang of Eight plan? It looks like it's moving forward slowly, deliberately, inexorably, but it's moving forward. Ron?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, what worries me is that the devil is in the details here. And we're talking about principles and ideas, but we don't have legislative detail yet that senators, the 92 other senators, need to see before this can go anywhere. I do commend Senator Marco Rubio for getting out there and pushing forward this bill because, Republicans, we do need the Hispanic vote for the 2016 presidential election and probably some high-profile Senate seats in the 2014 election. However, like I said, there are a number of Republicans out there that are very nervous and want to see the details. They want to see border security first. They want to make sure that any pathway towards citizenship has very, very strong enforcement measures around that it's not just amnesty, quote-unquote. So that's what I think, you're going to see some serious roadblocks here.
Doug, any impediments on the Democratic side?
Well, I think on the liberal side, I think, if you're looking at the House, there's some talk about the path to citizenship taking much longer than the Senate. That could be a roadblock. But I think, look, this is a make-or-break moment for immigration reform. We're farther along than we ever have been. Marco Rubio, I thought, did a really good job today. I think a lot of the ingredients of the bill that we've heard about will work for both the left and the right, and ultimately they just have to get it done.
As you said, Ron, so much of this approval from Republicans hinges on the process of enforcement. If we're going to legalize 11 million illegals in this country right now, there has to be some sort of better enforcement at the Bureau. But you just heard from Senator Jeff Sessions that they've made promises of enforcement. That's a big difference from enforcement.
No, that's absolutely right. I was around in 2007 when we were dealing with the immigration bill, and it was shot to pieces over the issue of amnesty, over the issues of border security, and I feel like we're there again. There has to be, between now, they have to speed up the process of introducing this bill, because they're talking about introducing this a week or more from the point they started talking about the principles. They're now at a point where they need to sell this to Republicans. I commend Marco Rubio again for doing so, but the opponents to immigration on the right are going to come out swinging pretty hard this week.
Yeah, Doug, I would just want to say that, I think Senator Rubio made a good point. The current system's broken, and there are four options. We can do nothing, keep the current system. We can try to deport everyone, which is not reasonable. We can try to make life so intolerable that they'll leave, or we can do this comprehensive approach. And I think you saw conservative Douglas Holtz-Eakin come out this week, talked about the economic benefits, increases in growth, wages, and so there are, I think, a lot of reasons why this will get done in the Senate. My concern is in the House, because I'm not entirely sure that House Republicans really want to get this done.
One of the benefits that employers in this country see of hiring illegals is it's cheap labor. They can pay less than what it would cost an American labor to work here. People living here illegally under this proposal would begin to get green cards in 10 years, but only if employers have adopted mandatory electronic verification. Does that throw a wrench into the works, Ron?
Well, look, the unions and the business community have been trying to work out a compromise upon a guest worker program. I think that's another key point that we need to talk about is the employee verification system here on whether or not who's legal, who's not illegal, so that they can keep these folks in the country. I do think that that's an area where the liberals may have a problem with, the unions may have a problem with. While the right has been worried about amnesty and border security, the left certainly is worried about the guest worker program, especially the unions.
But, you know, look, the unions have signed off on basically the framework of what the Gang of Eight, you know, is going to introduce. So I think that those concerns seem to be worked out, especially with the business community and labor.
Well, Ron, as you said, the devil is oftentimes in the detail, and we'll see the devils and the details Tuesday. That's when the plan is expected to be unveiled from the Gang of Eight. Ron Bonjean, former chief of staff to the Republican Conference. Doug Thornell, former spokesman for the DCCC. Thank you both. Good to see you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
A new search could lead to a possible break in the murders of a Texas district attorney, his wife, and another prosecutor. Local and federal officials have just confirmed to Fox News that former Justice of the Peace Eric Lyle Williams has not been named a suspect in the murders. He is currently being